Greetings and welcome. I am Juliet Passer, and this is Introduction to Transport Diplomacy. Striving for freedom is human nature. One of the main freedoms is the freedom of movement. For that reason, it is enshrined in the United Nations Human Rights Declaration. This category also includes free movement of goods, capital, and services, which nowadays forms the basis for the global economy. People understood it long ago. In the days of Genghis Khan, he granted writs of protection to the merchants to safeguard his caravans along the Great Silk Route. Having increased the mobility of people, having connected states and continents, the transport revolution of the 20th century created conditions for globalization and growth of well-being for billions of people. But it became apparent quite quickly that uncoordinated development of transport may result in serious negative consequences for mankind. To solve this problem, hundreds of international conventions and agreements were signed both under the auspices of the United Nations and at regional levels. They were drafted to regulate various aspects of international passenger and cargo transportation for all transport modes. A number of influential international organizations were established for the respective transport modes. Thus, by late 20th century, these developments precipitated the formation of a new branch of foreign economic policy, the transportation policy. Today, it has its own specific features, both in terms of activities as well as its own regulatory environment. For example, the mega project One Belt, One Road is quite indicative, since transportation is utilized as the main tool to pursue geopolitical and foreign economic interests of China in Eurasia and Africa. The rapid growth of regulatory environment in the transportation sector, having given impetus to world trade, globalization, and tourism, also revealed lack of competence at the same time, since proficient use of multitude of international legal instruments requires highly competent specialists. In addition, such professionals should have knowledge not only in areas of technical issues, but also be skilled in the crossover sphere of international law, economics, and diplomacy. On closer review, it became apparent that traditional academic programs in America, Europe, former USSR countries, and China did not train specialists in such a sphere, either for business or for diplomatic and foreign service. Meanwhile, this need will continue to increase. All of the forecasts point to such evidence. We have decided to solve this task in practical terms. For that purpose, we attracted a group of top-ranked international experts who have developed for the first time in history a full course and a textbook on transport diplomacy under the auspices of the newly established International Center for Transport Diplomacy headquartered in New York City. The course consists of 17 units, which analyze the most important elements of the international transport system in the context of sustainability and functional interaction of all transport modes, from environmental issues to challenges of landlocked and island nations, and from bicycles to unmanned vehicles and space travel. A condensed special course was also developed, which covers 7 most pressing topics. These 7 topics are: first, Fundamentals of Transport Diplomacy. This introductory unit focuses on transport diplomacy within the system of economic diplomacy, international trade, and foreign policy, as well as an interaction of regional and global negotiation processes. The role of transport in implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, as well as goals and objectives of the Ashgabat process, are thoroughly analyzed. Second, UN agreements and conventions regarding transport. This unit traces the evolution of international legal regulation of various transport modes, tasks, and activities of international organizations, implementation of the UN key programs, including the Vienna Programme of Action for Landlocked Countries, as well as the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement. Third, transport and the environment. This unit is of paramount importance, from ocean pollution to environmental degradation in megacities. Here, we carefully analyze current problems of protecting the environment and bioresources, the impact of transport on climate change, new opportunities for low-carbon transport and electric mobility. We thoroughly consider the results of the 2015 Climate Change Conference and the Paris Agreement, and analyze voluntary commitments of countries and its possible consequences for the transport sector. Fourth, passenger transport. This unit covers mobility of people in all aspects, availability of transport services and infrastructure for all modes, as well as a transition to new quality of life. Here we also consider the results of the Habitat 3 conference held in October of 2016, including the new urban agenda, the role of public transport in developments of the cities of the future, transport connectivities of cities and rural districts. Fifth, World Bicycle Day. In April of 2018, the UN General Assembly passed a resolution for the first time to support bicycle transport and declared June 3rd to be the World Bicycle Day, helping to solve many serious problems without much cost. From ecology to safety, this familiar vehicle has become an important element of urban development right before our very eyes, as well as the subject of serious multilateral negotiations. Sixth, transport financing. It covers a wide range of issues, such as what is green financing and how it can be achieved in the interests of private sector and governments. How can transport corridors turn into corridors of development and the mechanism of regional integration? How can investments into transport infrastructure become tools to improve the efficiency of transport potential, help implement foreign trade priorities and geopolitical aspirations of governments and particular regions around the world? Seventh, safety and security. Here we pay special attention to the international tools for improving the safety of navigation, flights and traffic control, especially taking into account the development of non-motorized mobility and the introduction of autonomous and unmanned vehicles. In addition, the main trends and best international practices in the fields of ensuring security against the acts of unlawful interference will be highlighted, taking into account the growth of terrorism, international piracy, and illegal border crossing. Now, a few words on how the training will be organized. To achieve maximum coverage and effectiveness, We plan to combine e-learning and traditional academic training. We have two online options: a condensed course for 2 weeks, devoting 2 full days to each topic. Another option is the basic course, which takes more time, covers more topics, and includes an independent project work and a research paper. Both courses require active participation in online learning activities with at least 3 to 4 hours per day of activities and reading. Based on a successful completion of each course, each participant will be awarded an appropriate certificate of completion. As for the full-time training, the full academic semester includes 12 weeks and the full syllabus. Training will take place on campuses of one of our partner training organizations starting in 2019. More information on the course content and other details will be available soon on our website. On our website, you can also register for our online courses, which will start later this year in 3 languages: English, Russian, and Chinese. In conclusion, I would like to emphasize that an important feature of the course is its strictly practical focus on examining current, pressing issues of transport policy faced by employees of government agencies and private sector alike. These courses will enable them to master the skills of working with international legal instruments, analyze emerging problems in bilateral and multilateral negotiations, and offer well-grounded recommendations. Another important aspect is that all issues are considered in light of future trends of transport development up to 2050. We hope that you found this information interesting and useful, and we look forward to seeing you soon as our partners and students at our center. Thank you very much.